Call to order the Dickinson City Commission meeting for December 1st, 2020. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. First item up this evening is the order of business. Before we approve the order of business, I'd like to make an announcement this evening. In our midst is our new city administrator, and we'd like to welcome him this evening, Mr. Brian Winningham, and Lieutenant Colonel retired Brian Winningham comes to us from California. His past experience, he enlisted in the United States Army in 1989. And following his enlisted service, he attended college at Point Loma Nazarene University and San Diego State University, where he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army as an infantryman. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in religion and philosophy, and later completed a Master's of Arts degree in National Security and Strategic Studies at the U.S. Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island. Lieutenant Colonel Winningham's military assignments over 28 years include multiple overseas tours in combat and various duty stations around the United States. Most recently, he served as the tribal administrator at the Tule River Tribe of California, leading 26 tribal departments and 35 director-level managers on behalf of the 9-member tribal council. He used his passion and skills as an organizational change leader and planner to create and build a successful tribal government, rebuilding the tribal police and fire departments, the tribal court system, the tribal education system, and a 58,000-acre forest and tribal administration. For 28 years, he has been married to Miss Poppy Zimmerman of Porterville, California, and they have 4 children. Sons Kellen, who's 25, Landon, who's 23, and Donovan, who's 8, and they have a daughter, Maren, who's 21. Well, I'd like to welcome Mr. Brian Winningham to the City of Dickinson. Welcome, sir. We are more than excited to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners, and all those in attendance, particularly our City of Dickinson staff, and all the great work that already I have seen in my day 2 of being here in Dickinson. I'm just absolutely thankful and excited to be here, and looking forward to continuing the great work that's already been done. Thank you.
Right, and like Mr. Winningham just did state, this is day 2. So
right.
He is being force-fed information on as gently as city staff can right now. So, but we expect great things from him. And this evening, though, since it is Mr. Winningham's second day on the job, a lot of our agenda items, as you'll notice, will still be handled by Deputy City Administrator Carlson. So that agenda items, as we will go into the order of business, Mrs. Carlson, are there any changes to the order of business?
President Decker, no, there is no changes to the order of business.
Any questions for Mrs. Carlson on the order of business? Thought I'd look for a motion on the order of business.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further discussion on the order of business? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the order of business as presented, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The consent agenda is next. Are there any items on the consent agenda that commissioners wish to discuss? There are no items on the consent agenda that commission wishes to discuss. I'd look for a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Commissioner Soboluk to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Walla. Any further questions or comments on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Soboluk?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We will move right into our normal agenda. And the first item up is administration and finance. Our 2021 liquor license renewals, and Deputy City Administrator Carlson will be handling this.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. City staff has presented to you the list of the 2021 liquor license renewals. The applicants have completed their applications and the fees have been collected. The Dickinson Police Department performed background checks of our applicants according to our municipal code. And just a note on there, we have 3 applications that were not in the renewal process from last year, and that is Lady J's due to closure, The Crossing due to closure, owners moved to Brick House, and Red Coach due to closure at this time. But with that, city staff recommends approval of the 2021 liquor license renewals as presented.
Any questions for Mrs. Carlson on the liquor license renewals? Hearing no questions, comments for staff, I'd look for a motion on the liquor license renewals.
Mr. President, move to approve the liquor license renewals for 2021.
We have a motion to approve the liquor license renewals that have been submitted to the city at this time.
Second.
Thank you. Second by Commissioner Walla. The motion to approve was by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion on our liquor license renewals? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Our next item up, we have a beer-only liquor license applied for by Eyewear Concepts, Mrs. Melanie Altman. Mrs. Carlson, you'll be presenting this.
Thank you, President Decker. And Commissioners, Eyewear Concepts, doing the business as Eyewear Concept is Melanie Altman's, has applied for a beer-only liquor license. This type of license is unlimited in issuance. Melanie Miller and Nathaniel Shillman are the owners and have passed the background check. The appropriate fees have been paid, and the owners were in request of a beer and wine-only application, but since this license is still in review, they have applied for the beer-only license at this time. City staff recommends approval of the 2021 liquor license application of beer only.
Thank you, Mrs. Carlson. Any questions for Mrs. Carlson on this application? Mrs. Wenko, for clarification and for individuals present, could you clarify our beer-only restrictions?
Mr. President, Commissioners, as the current city code reads, that the city may grant an alcoholic beverage license for a beer-only license. Obviously, the applicant must be abiding by all the state and local laws, that the license may sell tap beer or beer in open bottles, cans, or similar packages, that the license shall be for the sale of beer for consumption on the premises only, and no sale for consumption off-premise shall be made. And then, of course, as the Commission discussed at the last work session, that we will look toward updating this to include beer and wine only if those applicants choose to do so. So that is how the code currently reads with regard to the beer-only license.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other questions or comments for city staff? Hearing, this is not public discussion. There'll be a time for open discussion at 5 o'clock. Any questions? Not, I'd look for a motion on this application.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Frederick to approve this application.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further discussion, questions on this application? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Next item up is the actuarial services, our consulting agreement. Mrs. Carlson, you'll be handling that?
Yes, President Decker, thank you. The Retirement Board met on October 27th, and in discussion of the agenda, a motion was made and duly passed to move forward in renewing the actuary services with Gallagher Benefit Services for a one-year contract. Enclosed is the amendment to the consulting agreement. The only change from last year to this year is that the contract is renewing for 1 year starting January 1st through December 31st. All other terms and conditions of the agreement remain in full force as stated in the original agreement on May 7th, 2019. City staff and Retirement Board would recommend approval of the amendment to the Actuary Services Consulting Agreement as written and presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Carlson. Any questions for Mrs. Carlson on this actuarial agreement? If there are no questions or comments for city staff, I'd look for a motion on the actuarial agreement.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve the actuarial agreement by Commissioner Oderman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Walla. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Oderman,
Aye.
Ms. Walla,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We have our monthly HR report. Mrs. Nominack, our HR coordinator, will be presenting the monthly report.
Thank you, President Decker, Commissioners. First on the list is the police officer openings. We just did interviews for this position in November, and we're at the second interview phase for those openings. We had a communications specialist position open, and we did make 2 hires, and those 2 have started. We had 2 openings in the street department for street maintenance operator, and we have filled one of those positions. We had the bookmobile school services librarian. We had made multiple offers that had been declined, and we have decided at this time with COVID to just kind of hold off on that position for a while. It's been difficult for the bookmobile to get to all the places they need to go as is, so we're going to hold off a little while before we reopen that. We had some limited hour library assistant positions open, 4 of them actually, and we have filled all of those. Several positions in the water reclamation facility for operator. We had 2 of them. We did hire one of our employees who was a seasonal employee for us. We have hired her as a full-time employee. And then we just made the final, filled the final position, and that person started yesterday. We did open a chief water utility operator, and that was filled internally. One of our seniors filled that position. We have a senior facility operator that was hired internally. One of our facility operators filled that role. We had a fire inspector position open. That is for a January 1 hire date for the new budget, and that was opened internally and filled. We've been looking for seasonal snowplow operators, kind of a seasonal type, somebody who's got some experience running the snowplows, have probably worked for us before or other companies who have assisted the city with snow removal. We were able to rehire one of our operators that worked for us in the past as kind of a part-time seasonal position. And then currently we have several other positions that are open that we're taking applications on, and one of them is a landfill operator. We have an environmental pretreatment coordinator position for the water utilities department, a chief water reclamation facility operator, And then our clerk of court position will be opened up internally. Any questions?
Any questions for Mrs. Nominick on the HR report? Thank you, Mrs. Nominick.
Thank you.
We have a couple of thank you letters. Mrs. Carlson?
Yes, thank you, President Decker. The first one is from the Beach Park Board. And this is with our Southwest community grants. And they are thanking us as the board for the city parks and the community as a whole. This donation that we made to them, it was possible to improve their Northeast Park with the new playground equipment, and they had sent in a picture of that too. The other one is from the Dickinson Area Chamber team, and they sent us a thank you for supporting professional development in our community by sponsoring and attending our Develop Dickinson events. We appreciate your dedication to the success of professionalism in our community. Those were nice thank yous.
Yes, they were. And Mrs. Carlson, just for information, the dollars that we provided to Beach come from our Southwest grants,
Yes.
and that is
Grant.
annual percentage of the sales tax that we collect that we redistribute back to Southwest communities.
Correct.
Right. And a couple of commission members sit on that, and
And
some city
administration.
staff, and we appropriate money for physical enhancement or something that's needed in a community. A few years ago, we bought a Jaws of Life for a volunteer fire department. We've bought respirator packs for fire departments in the smaller communities. So we're always trying to give back to our surrounding communities because they do patronize us, with their sales tax and buying products here in Dickinson. So that's where those dollars are generated, and we send them back out into the communities. We'll move on to engineering, and first item up, we have a bid concurrence for the North Dakota DOT I-94 business loop, and that will be handled by Assistant City Engineer Marshik.
Good evening, President Decker, Commissioners. Before you, as you mentioned, is the bid concurrence from the DOT for the I-94 East Business Loop project. The low bid that was submitted was from Northern Improvement Company in the amount of $14,321,471.91. That bid was substantially lower than the engineer's estimate. The city's cost share of that project is estimated to be $1,514,886.06. The city engineering staff is recommending approval of the bid by Northern Improvement Company for the North Dakota DOT project for the I-94 East Business Loop. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mrs. Marshik. Any questions for Mrs. Marshik on this bid?
Mr. President, when you say significantly lower, what was your guys' estimate? Where did you think it was going to
I believe the original estimate was around 18 million.
I think it was even higher than that.
I think it was over 20.
It was over 20.
When it first started, it was
Right.
it was over 20, and then it came down to around 18 million. When this went out for bid, that's where we were expecting the numbers to come in. So 14 is a nice number to see.
And this also is the new interchange at 10th and Villard part of this, or is that that's a separate
No,
project?
that's included.
Okay.
That's included in this project. The interchange at the interstate, exit 64, that is a separate project. However, they'll be run in conjunction. So the DOT considers it a separate project, but a lot of the work and a lot of the documentation ends up coming out at the same time.
I knew there was one of them that was separated from the project.
Yeah, it's
so-
the interchange at the interstate.
So this will be a great improvement on the east side of town. I know that, and especially that intersection on 10th. So, any other questions for Mrs. Marshik or staff on this bid concurrence? There are no questions or comments. I'd look for a motion on this.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Oderman,
I'll second it.
second by Commissioner Sobeluk. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Oderman,
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Ms. Walla. Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Move on to Public Works. Public Works Director Zuroff, you have a Southwest Water rate increase for 2021.
Thank you, President Decker and Commission members. In your packet, you have the memorandum from Southwest Water informing us that their contract water rate is planned to increase from $5.50 a thousand gallons to $5.60 a thousand gallons, effective January 1, 2021. City of Dickinson water rates are comprised of the meter charge base rate and the consumption or usage rate. The meter base rate charges are determined by your meter size, and these rates have not increased since 2015. The consumption or usage rate consists of the Southwest Water contract rate plus the city's revenue portion for maintenance of the usage rate, which is currently at $1.20 per thousand gallons. Public Works staff recommends increasing the water usage rate to 10 cents. In other words, pass through the 10 cents that Southwest Water is increasing to our customers. And the city's revenue portion of the base rate and the usage rate, we propose to keep the same. I have another graph here. Got it, thank you. Which shows since 2014, excuse me, 2014 of the rates from Southwest Water, and then the city portion of the usage rates. As you can see, our water rates have increased substantially over the years. Where the city portion, we have increased. Last year, City Administrator Guy increased it from $1.15 to $1.20. And this year, I don't really like any increase, but the 10 cents is a lot less than I was thinking we'd get as an increase from Southwest Water. So I wanted to bring that before Commission, if that's the direction they want to go, and just pass through that 10 cents per thousand water rate to our customers.
Thank you, Mr. Zuroff. Any questions from Mr. Zuroff on this rate increase to our water?
Mr. Zuroff, just for like background information, what percentage of Southwest Water's customer base is the City of Dickinson?
Over 50%, about 50%. That kind of goes up and down. Originally it was over 50%.
And comparable rate increase for other municipalities?
Well, in your packet you should have the memorandum. The contract rate, I assume that's for other cities as contract rates. And then there's the customer water rate for individuals, raw water rates, and they have it pretty well explained there. But I believe the contract rate is for cities like us that we just buy bulk water from a point in their system.
Yeah, I was looking at the wrong document. Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Zuroff on the increase to our water rate? And this was, Mr. Zuroff, I was surprised too, less than I was anticipating. But it's better than 2018.
It's much better. And we have had a lot of discussions. We have been attending some of the State Water Commission meetings in Bismarck and trying to compare to the other water districts throughout the state. We feel they're higher than other districts, but we continue to try to attend some of those meetings and see what we can do. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Zuroff? Now I'd look for a motion on the water rate increase for 2021.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sobeluk. Any further discussion, questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Next item up, Mr. Zuroff, you have a contracting change order on our reuse pipeline project.
Yes, thank you, President Decker, Commission. Before you, change order 1 with Rachel Contracting. It's an increase in the contract for $75,283.12. This change order consists of multiple field orders required during construction. Additional flush hydrants were requested, which will give us the ability to flush into our existing sanitary sewer and allow us to temporarily bypass the meter vault for maintenance purposes. With that, additional bollards were added to protect the additional flush hydrants. Another item was the original refinery plan showed a 16-inch valve at the beginning of the project. Upon excavation, it wasn't there, so that was another field directive to include that valve. The majority of the change order is the required casing by Southwest Water. When you cross their lines, a required casing on 20 feet of each side of the line is required. I can sure answer any questions on any of these field orders or the combined change order, and recommend for approval.
Mr. Zuroff. So the big one, I mean, did we not know the Southwest Water Line was there? Was it not in the plans originally for them to bid, or?
No, we had the Southwest Water plans in there, and it said the contractor would be responsible for working with Southwest Water on that. What wasn't in the plans or specifications was that Southwest Water required casing. So that was not in the plans. So we knew the water line was there, but not the required casing that they require any crossing with what they consider sanitary sewer.
So when they applied for their permit, they were told?
Mm-hmm.
Remind me what the original budget item number was on this? Because I
Yeah.
think we're still below, if I remember right.
Yeah, actually, it was close to $1 million, I think 900 and some thousand. The original bid of Rachel came under. And so even with this change order, we're under our original engineer's estimate.
Any other questions from Mrs. Zuroff on this change order?
Just one more. So the additional valves that we put in is just because of that casing? So it's, or is that just something we noticed as we were?
Well, the first valve
Wasn't there.
wasn't there. And then when we went north on 116 and then west on 22. We started, because we extended it further to the west. The hydrants are what added. The original plans didn't have any outlet for flushing that line, and so our sanitary sewer is right at 116 and Highway 22.
You mean Highway 10?
Or excuse me, 116 and Highway 10.
10.
Thank you.
Okay.
116 and Highway 10. And our sanitary sewer is right at that intersection. And so we put a hydrant there so we could flush the line. That wasn't thought about during original design. And then as we got close to the meter vault, we had the same question of how can we bypass if we need to pull this meter during construction. So that's where we added a couple more hydrants also with bollards.
Okay.
There was, it's our first reuse pipeline, so there were some things that we didn't think about the flushing, because you can't just flush that reuse water. Although it's treated, we can't flush it right on a field. You have to flush it in the sanitary. So those kind of things came up during construction.
Sure. Okay. Okay, any other questions on the change order? Not, I'd look for a motion on this change order.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Sobeluk. Any further questions, comments, concerns? We'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk? Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We'll move into the 5 o'clock public hearing and comments on the agenda. We have no public hearings this evening, but during this section, if there are any public comments that are not on our agenda, you may come forward, state your name, and let us know what was not on the agenda, and let us hear your concerns. You may also call in at 701-456-7006 if you are not present. So if anyone has any concerns not on the agenda, please come forward.
President Decker, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jared Sheeler, and I am co-owner and managing partner of the Hub Convenience Stores. Based out of here in Dickinson, we have 6 stores in western North Dakota, 2 of them within Dickinson city limits. I have a non-agenda item that is related to a previous agenda item from earlier tonight, and that is Dr. Zoltmans and Shillman's application for a liquor license to add a variation or a new offering or added value to their business. And I'll start out by saying I commend you as a commission for approving that license. I commend Dr. Zoltmans for being creative, for showing an entrepreneurial spirit, to finding a way to differentiate her business from those she competes with in town. Business is tough, and we continuously have to evolve in order to maximize how we operate as businesses. Where I do struggle, though, is, and again, I'll reiterate my support for Dr. Zoltmans and her efforts, and my support for you guys approving it. Where I do struggle still is if there's a license class that allows for a healthcare facility or a personal care facility, such as a barber shop, to serve alcoholic beverages on site to their customers and for them to get in their vehicles and drive home. I struggle with the fact that there's not a license class that allows a convenience store or a small format retailer to sell beer in a take-home package for consumers to bring home and drink at their leisure over the next 2 weeks, 1 week, whatever it may be. I'm really passionate about this. You know, so we have 6 stores. We sell liquor at 2 of them. 3 of the communities that we do business in, Beulah, Hayes, and New England, we can sell liquor if we choose to. We have chose to at 2 of those, in 2 of those cities. We do not have that choice fairly within the city of Dickinson. And being that the liquor license thing was on the agenda, I'm sure you guys aren't surprised that I'm rearing my head again. But I'm here again to reiterate my belief and ask you to consider an additional license class, because if a license class can be allowed for what we approved tonight, why can't there be a license class for small format retailers to sell beer in a take-home package like 81% of the convenience stores across the nation? There's 155,000 stores across the nation, 81% of them sell beer. We really can't do that in Dickinson. And I will keep coming to visit you until the day that changes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Schiller. I'm going to take this. You can come up, but I'm going to take this. Is there someone on the phone that has a comment?
Hi, this is Megan Lepetsky. I'm just calling in to represent Paw Paradise.
Okay, we'll put you on hold for now until your item comes up.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Good evening. I'm Rosie from Rosie's Food and Gas.
Could you state your full name for the public record?
I'm sorry. Rosie Lance from Rosie's Food and Gas. And I would also be in favor of having an off-sale beer license for the C-stores in Dickinson.
All right, duly noted.
And I would also be in favor of having...
Yeah, you can turn it down.
Just repeating.
Yeah, this should just listen. Any other members of the public that has a comment that are not on our agenda, please come forward and state your name. Anyone from the public have any concerns or comments not on the agenda this evening? Please come forward, state your name. Or you may call in to 701-456-7006. Seeing no one from the public has any comments or concerns for the City Commission, we'll close the public hearing, public comments section of our agenda. The last item we had on was the change order, so we'll move into planning, and that is our Chapter 39 Public Zoning District Standards, and that'll be handled by City County Planner Josephson.
Good evening, President Decker, Commissioners. As was stated, this is a second reading for Ordinance 1707, which is if adopted, it would adopt development standards, setbacks, and height requirements for the public zoning district, and those are meant to protect any adjacent abutting residential properties. As I said, this is the second reading. One thing I did want to call to your attention, and I did speak to Attorney Wenko about this, is on page 4, under rear yard. If you go to the column where it discusses rear yard setbacks, it says side yard instead of rear yard. So if you should go through and adopt this tonight, it would ask that you would have, in your motion, that you would change that from side yard to rear yard. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Josephson on the said amendment? Or on the actual ordinance 1707? One other thing that I think needs to be kind of cleaned up, I just noticed our paging on the bottom. We go to 3 of 3, then we go 4 of 3, and then go 5 of 3. So probably just need to clean up some of the text. Any other questions, comments on 1707? Not, I'd look for a motion on the Chapter 39 Amendment, Public Zoning District Standards, and this is the second reading and final passage of Ordinance number 1707.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve 1707 by Commissioner Oderman.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Walla.
Commissioners, before you vote, Attorney Wenko, so that would include those changes where it says side yard to rear yard.
Yes. Is that appropriate on your motion, Mr.
Yes.
Oderman? Yes. Okay. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Next item up is going to be presented by Planning Director Hadley. It's a special use permit for pet daycare at 1471 4th Avenue West. We do have the owner on the line if there are any questions. So, Mr. Hadley?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and Commission. This is considered Resolution 40-2020. As you said, a special use permit for a pet daycare for a maximum of 10 dogs. And located in the old location of the old Happy Hounds location. So it's actually a couple different, one same owner and a different partner. The Planning Commission held this hearing on November 18th, 2020 and recommended approval. There weren't any comments at that time from the public with any concerns on this application. There hasn't been any concerns addressed to city staff from the planning commission meeting till today. The city proposed a number of conditions that were typical in the ordinance that we amended to allow this in our community. And the applicant doesn't have a problem with any of those proposed conditions. As you said, she's online. Staff would recommend approval of Resolution 40-2020 as written.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Any questions for Mr. Hadley on 40-2020? Or questions for Ms. Lipitsky, who is online? Any questions? All right. Megan, do you have any comments? There are no questions for you.
No, no comments, just that we agree to the conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
There are no questions or comments. I'd look for a motion on 40-2020.
I'll move to approve Resolution 40-2020.
We have a motion to approve 40-2020 by Commissioner Walla,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We have nothing this evening from Building and Code Enforcement. We'll move into Section 10, Commissioners. This is your time period. Commission has any items that they wish to bring forward that were not on the agenda, or any issues that we need to know of. This is your time. Any comments from Commission?
I don't have any comments on tonight, but last time we had quite a big discussion at the end on a large topic. And if there's any way that those could be put on the agenda beforehand so that we'd have time to kind of look at things or go through them, that would be greatly appreciated.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Not, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.